I knew Mark was a good person because when I was waiting for a heart transplant, and I still lived in California, he called, and this is when there were just landlines, and he said that he'd been calling this number, but the person that I was married to at the time kept on answering the phone, so he would hang up. So I answered the phone, and he said, he introduced who he was and everything. He says, your wife is spending way too much money on this house that she's remodeling. And she told me not to talk to you because she said you were going to die probably before the house was done. Okay? And he says, I would like to save you some money. And so I knew he was a good person because he saved about $20,000 at that time on remodeling. And we've been friends ever since then. And I've been friends with Brad since he was making almost $6,000 when he first came to work here. And now he's the athletic director. But he was one of the favorite coaches that I always enjoyed, was always one of the kindest persons, treated everybody the way you wanted to be treated. And I really appreciate that, Brad. I have to give thanks to the Lord because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the gift of life. Unfortunately, someone has to pass on to be able to become a heart transplant recipient. But that person had something on the driver's license, and I was had waited 47 months for the heart transplant. Normally, your ejection rate is 70%. Mine was down to 9%. And where I was supposed to get it was in San Diego at sea level, and I was Mile High City, Prescott, Arizona. And so I actually left after waiting for 6 months for the transplant. So, I received it, and the first person I saw when I got off the air ambulance besides the professionals was my brother Hale. I know him as Buddy. You don't get to choose your relatives, but you get to choose your friends. And the Lord has been very, very kind to me. Because He not only blessed me with friends that are here, but He blessed me with a wonderful sister, Linda, who was 9 years older than me, but of course I look 9 years older than her. And that's from being a semi-nudist growing up in Maryville. And having skin cancer around teen times and being sliced and diced. But she's one of the kindest people I've known, and I'm very lucky that she married somebody 50 years ago this past June that has been very kind to me, and that's Bob. And then I've been very blessed to have a brother that everybody thinks I'm the old guy, because he has a rounder face than me. Okay, so his wrinkles never show up or anything like that. But as I was growing up, he was always good at talking. And I was always, this happens to a lot of children. You looked up to your brother or sister. And I was the baby. And even when we were in dirt clod fights, I looked up when he called my name and boom! Dirt clod hit me. And as he says, his greatest fame, he peaked too early in life. He was student body president his high school year. His senior year, as junior class president, he was student body, student government and everything. And even after he left, my junior and senior year, I still had teachers call me Buddy, but I made my little niche at Maryville. I was outstanding senior boy, and when I went to Phoenix College, I had respect for junior colleges, and I was student body president there. The motto for the college when you come in is at Yavapai College. It says Life Explored. And, I wouldn't be here today if people that are in this room hadn't helped me with my life being explored. As we all know, there's 3 branches of government. There's the executive, the legislative, and judicial. And, I invited Governor Ducey. And one of his staff members got back to me and said, he's seen the Pope. You know, so he's in Washington, you know, so, you know, I thought it was Mormon, okay? So anyway, and then I invited legislative people, you know, and I invited a guy that I knew named Noel Campbell that ran for election 3 times and finally got elected, and, you know, he thinks it's his job is to put people that try to help people that are alcoholic and drug, you know, have problems with drugs and stuff out of business, you know, and one of the things I do is help raise money for scholarships that people that need help, and that's what I do with Mark and that. But Noel couldn't make it because he had 2 shots of alcohol and he thought he shouldn't drive. So I got a text from him at the very last time, you know, and so, you know, then we come to the judicial, you know, and you know, we got a guy that was in the Hall of Fame a few years ago. People don't know this, that, you know, that he was one of the greatest catchers of all time, because he caught the no-hitter, okay, and that was Steve Winnigan, and that. But representing the executive branch of Arizona, we have somebody that had helped me where I was actually his resident time when he was just a lawyer. And actually when John McCain announced his presidency, he did the same thing as Barry Goldwater on the steps of the courthouse. And he had the Secret Service all in his office, you know, with binoculars on the top and everything. But he was also a past president of my Rotary Club, the Prescott Frontier Rotary Club. And he knows all the skeletons that are in the different houses I've lived in, because he helped me avoid many bullets. Not like Bucky O'Neill, who was the only officer who died during the Spanish-American War. But I'm real happy that to see him do good, and then he got appointed to be a Superior Court judge. He ran for election. I got to serve as his first treasurer of his committee. When he ran for election, he lost that election. Okay, but he kept on trying. And now today, representing the state, he's on the State Court of Appeals. And Ken, it means so much for you to be here. Thank you. It was Teddy Roosevelt that said, "The credit belongs to the man who spends himself in a worthy cause." And originally, I used to try to think of phrases for people's names and then come up with something witty or something like that, nothing to do with Whittington and that. And mine was Thomas Dale Gammill was to do good. But really, you look at it, is what Teddy said, and then if you would merchandise it, would be life explored. You know, I've been really lucky to be around some really nice coaches. Mike Panleone, who's been here since the beginning of soccer, 7 national championships. He's preparing for a big soccer game this evening in Prescott Valley. And Mike, thank you so much for coming. It means a whole lot. And we have 2 former coaches. The last coach I coached when I did basketball was Eric Fungal-Evans and his wife Reagan. Thank you so much for coming. And Chris Ray, he's also from Emeryville. Thank you so much for coming. And if it wasn't for the fans that come, you know, there would be no reason to be a mascot, you know, or the announcer, you know. Bob, the past athletic director, you know, when he asked me to do it, you know, I did it on one stipulation, is that I would get to talk about organ awareness during, when I announce games, when I announce and stuff like that. And, you know, I've done about 800 events already for the college over the years. And it's given me a great chance. And I've also served some college presidents, and I can't say that by far the kindest, most genuine person, not even the atmosphere of the college, but out in the public, is President Penny, who you heard, and her husband. They're so kind that they bring their dog sometimes when she's healthy to the events and that. And thank you so much for your kindness and that. when the college was making a change possibly with announcing, trying to go on with a different thing, I met with the athletic director, now Scott. And we went to lunch, and again, thank you for buying lunch that day, Scott. But he said, you know, I asked him, I said, well, you want me to just quit? And he said, no. You got the regalia of Roughrider. I said, why don't you become a mascot? And I said, oh, man. You know, and I was saying, I'm not an athlete no more, you know, but I embraced it. So, you know, I wasn't doing any announcing basketball, but I go out there and dance, do YMCA, you know, try to get the crowd going, having a good time, you know, you know, I got a little better at it. You know, these days there's actually seminars in college that mascots go to learn to do this stuff, and I learned there was even a mascot hall of fame, so anyways, I tried to represent the college. I got to go to national championships for soccer, for baseball. I've gotten a medal for baseball for regional a number of years ago. Got to go to national softball. Been really blessed. And then when we got to go to basketball, Brad, you remember this is in Hutchinson, Kansas. I mean, this is nowhere. They have world-class aeronautical museum there. Most of the Soviet Union stuff, but it was really interesting. But the gym they play in is where they've been playing since 1951 for the national championships. So you talk about life explored. And I've been really blessed. Another person I want to thank is Dan Storey, who I served, but he's been my minister. He married me one time, even though that marriage didn't work out. I told him I don't blame him. He said, Gammill, maybe that's saying maybe you should quit getting married. You know. I'm really fortunate to be inducted with somebody that's a national champion. You know, because I've tried to take Mr. Roughrider bigger, where I do living history as Teddy Roosevelt at museums, and I go to schools and tell how the Roughriders built the final foundation of the territorial history into the state history. I actually tell them that it was a Roughrider that built the first state prison in Arizona under budget, and then 25 years later, my grandfather was the warden there. And he also was a highway commissioner. My family's been in Arizona since 1905. And some of you don't know, but when I say how blessed I've been with the gift of life, 10 years ago, my son had a heart transplant. And one of the things that happens to you because your immune system is you get skin cancer. And I've had it, but I haven't had the melanoma. I had it one time, and I would have been bald like my brother, but they were able to shift the hair and tie it together. So I'm the one with the hair, but he has the great genes. But my son has had melanoma 3 times. He had surgery. They said they got it. It came back. He did radiation. They said they got it. And then this past May, they had to take a huge blob off his neck, and he just finished this week with 35 treatments of radiation, 12 chemo, 3 stays in the hospital, 41 pounds less, and we won't know until they do a bone scan if they got it. But hopefully the Lord will bless him, because he has a child that's 7, and another one 3, and another one 14 months. And in closing, I always have to say something about organ-donor awareness, because I wouldn't be here. Okay, and I believe that, like Teddy Roosevelt said, a worthy cause. And so, some of you have heard this poem about organ donors, so please forgive me for doing it again, but it's, as I say, it's very close to my heart. The day will come when my body will lie upon a white sheet recently tucked under 4 corners of a mattress, located in a hospital busily occupied with the living and the dying. At this certain moment, a doctor will come in and determine that my brain has ceased to function, and that for all intents and purposes, my life has stopped. When that happens, do not attempt to instill artificial life into my body by the use of a machine. And don't call this my deathbed. Let it be called my bed of life. Let my body be taken from it to help others lead fuller lives. Give my sight to a man who's never seen a sunrise, a baby's face, or the love in the eyes of a woman. That's where I made my mistake, my pastor told me. Give my heart to a person whose own heart has caused nothing but endless days of pain. Give my blood to the teenager who was pulled from the wreckage of his car so he might be able to see his grandchildren play. Give my kidneys to one who depends on a machine to exist. Take my bones, every muscle, every fiber, nerve in my body, and find to make a crippled child walk. Explore every corner of my brain. Take my cell if necessary, and let them grow so that someday a speechless boy will shout at the crack of a bat, and a deaf girl will hear the rain against the window. Burn what is left of me, scatter the ashes to the wind to help the flowers grow. If you must bury something, let it be my faults, my weaknesses, and all the prejudice against my fellow man. If by chance you wish to remember me, do it with a kind deed, a word to someone who needs you. If you do all what I ask, I will live forever. And I thank Yavapai College for giving me the opportunity to talk to over 2,000 student athletes about organ donor orders. Thank you so much for this honor. It means so much to me.